happy hour. Download and listen at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
Kennedy saves the world. America's listening to Fox News.
Tuesday will mark 3 weeks without
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
How she ended up in a ravine. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. It took a long rope to get a person out of a ravine and to the hospital Saturday morning. Chris Davis reports on why.
It was because that person had been hit by a train and thrown into that ravine. Now, the firefighters didn't say whether it was a woman or a girl, just that it was a female. It happened about 6:30 Saturday morning on West Washington Street in Indianapolis, which is near the Indianapolis International Airport. WIBC TV reports that the woman was on the tracks when the train was approaching and would not get off. By the time the train got there, it hit her, and she was thrown down into that ravine. She was last reported in critical condition. Chris Davis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Indiana State Police are investigating a sexual assault that happened in Fishers back on September 25th. Police say a child was sexually assaulted in the area of 113th Street and Florida Road. If you live in the area or have anything that could help police find the suspect, give them a call. After 3 failed attempts to elect Ohio Representative Jim Jordan as the next Speaker of the House, House Republicans are now looking for another nominee, and some Hoosier leaders are expressing their frustrations. Former Vice President and Indiana Governor Mike Pence tweeted that he would never have imagined 8 Republicans partnering with every Democrat in Congress to throw out a Republican Speaker of the House. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Tonight, partly cloudy, staying breezy, wind gusts up to 25 miles an hour. Our low temperatures in the mid-40s. Sunday, mostly sunny skies. Our high temperatures in the upper 50s. On WIBC TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Hey Lonnie, how exciting is Jiffy Lube's new partnership with the AAA Hoosier Motor Club?
It is so great to see 2 longtime trusted experts in automotive maintenance join forces to provide amazing benefits to each other's clients.
AAA members have always saved at least 15% at Jiffy Lube, but now on Thursdays, all AAA members save $25.
And new AAA members get their first oil change half price plus a free tire rotation. If you aren't a AAA member yet, join today.
Great savings from 2 names you can trust. Jiffy Lube is a one-stop shop for all your car's maintenance needs. From oil changes and filters to brakes and tires, Jiffy Lube makes sure your car keeps running well.
Those quickie places that simply drain your oil, change your filter, slap you on the tailpipe, and kick you out the door love to brag about forcing you to stay in your car. But at Jiffy Lube, we give you the choice to stay in your car or enjoy the Wi-Fi in our lounge while we vacuum your car for free.
Become a AAA member today and start saving big at Jiffy Lube. Here's a never-before offer, Indy. Act now before October 31st and get 25% off the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield. Restrictions apply. Rhino Shield.
There are screening tests to catch cancer early. Visit cancer.org/getscreened.
Storm clouds are raging all around my door. I think to myself I might not take it anymore.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of the show. As always, I'm excited to be here, and what a spectacularly big week in news with lots of sound to delve into, including updates on the ongoing conflict with Israel and Hamas. Blinken, our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, gives us an update on the number of captives still held by Hamas, as well as John Kirby. You know, there's a lot that we don't know as well. And Joe Biden made an appearance in Israel, capping off his visit with a surprise announcement. We'll get into that. Plus, reactions from the squad and the question, should we accept Gaza refugees due to the conflict? All of that you'll hear on this edition of Saturday Night on the Circle. Guest producer Kevin is in the studio, helping producer Gary run the ship. We appreciate your work, producer Kevin. And I got a bone to pick with you. I note after, going on 2 weeks now, this stupid camera, the what we have dubbed the Rob Kendall Memorial Camera is still non-functioning. Now, what has Kendall done to abscond with the equipment or smash the camera or piss off Nick Cottingen? What is up? Because Nick said, I was in the studio doing the Kendall and Casey show, filling in for Rob, who was vacationing, and Nick at the time said he was getting this fixed. What happened in between then and now, Kevin?
I have no idea. We're in the same boat. We're all struggling with this. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I'm confident that someone was working on it.
Who, though? We have a whole engineering department, and it's been going on 2 weeks. I don't understand. Well, whatever. Hopefully it will be fixed relatively soon. And in the meantime, you can still join us on the YouTube stream, absent the camera. Still feel free to hop in the comments. We always appreciate your feedback while the show is going on live. All right, let's delve into the news. Joe Biden making a trip to Israel and capping off his visit. Of course, what better way to finish than by giving Hamas $100 million?
Today, I'm also announcing $100 million in new U.S. funding for humanitarian assistance in both Gaza and the West Bank.
Money, please.
Oh, no, there's no money.
Oh,
okay.
That's fine. I'll just destroy this office.
Hey!
Money, please. Money, please.
Ben, give her some money. It's easier.
$100 million for Hamas. They just blew up a hospital, according to information from our own military, from our own intelligence agency. And you give them $100 million. Like, what a way to reward bad behavior. Of course, the Biden administration is well familiar with this tactic, having rewarded Iran with $6 billion of spending money and also so-called humanitarian aid that will only be spent strictly for those humanitarian purposes, naturally freeing up resources for Hamas and other ne'er-do-wells in the region to kill Jews. This is insane, and the administration recognizes there's a serious risk to Hamas utilizing the $100 million to, subsequently attack Israel again, as acknowledged by Matt Miller, spokesman for the White House.
I think the concern the Israeli government has, and they've said this publicly, and they certainly said it privately to us, is that any assistance that goes in will be diverted once it's inside Gaza. That there's not an Israeli military force in Gaza. There's not a UN peacekeeping force in Gaza. The people with guns inside Gaza are Hamas, and so Hamas may try to divert this assistance and keep it from getting to the civilians who it is intended for. We think that's a legitimate concern. We've made clear that this aid needs to go to innocent civilians and not Hamas. We're going to be watching very carefully how it's delivered because we want to be sensitive to those concerns, which we share.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Yes, they're concerned about them diverting the $100 million that's meant for civilian aids for military purposes, because these are the same people who rip water pipes out of the ground and use them as makeshift rocket launchers, the same rocket launchers which misfire and often cause casualties on their side. This is absolutely insane, and you have to ask, at what point is the administration complicit with the violence enacted against Israel? Because they know. That's the damnedest thing about it. They know and understand by funding these entities, they are endangering the lives of the Jewish people. Joe Biden admitting that Iran supports Hamas, as did John Kirby, as did several other administration spokespeople. They are admitting by providing them with funding, they are endangering the lives of Israelis overseas, but they don't care.
The risk of conflict and chaos could spread in other parts of the world, in the Indo-Pacific, in the Middle East, especially in the Middle East. Iran is supporting Russia in Ukraine, and it's supporting Hamas and other terrorist groups in the region.
He said it. There it is.
In no uncertain terms, President Biden said Iran is supporting Hamas and he just gave them $6 billion. Even if you assume that all $6 billion is only going to be released to approved American vendors, that still doesn't change the fact it frees up funds for other purposes, primarily shooting Jews. That's what's going on here. Now, fortunately, we have a small breath of fresh air, some silver lining to an otherwise terrible situation is 2 American hostages, Judith Renan, 59, her daughter, Natalie Renan, 17, released by Hamas to the care of the Red Cross in Israel and the Israeli Defense Force. This is obviously good news for them, good news for their family members, but there's a more sinister motivation to why Hamas would choose to do this. Of course, course, Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State, giving us an update on the amount of Americans still held in captivity.
Hey, Blinken. Did you say Abe Lincoln? No, I ain't say Abe Lincoln. I said, hey, Blinken. Hold the reins, man.
But there are still 10 additional Americans who remain unaccounted for in this conflict. We know that some of them are being held hostage by Hamas, along with an estimated 200 other hostages held in Gaza.
Okay, so excellent that 2 Americans have been released, 10 still held in captivity, which is incredibly tragic. But why is Hamas doing this? Answer, they're just buying for time. They are delaying the Israeli Defense Force from a ground assault by releasing these hostages. So, it is ultimately a selfish tactic to prolong their conflict against Israel. They have no intentions of doing humanitarian relief, showing humanitarian relief to these hostages. For God's sakes, they murdered over 1,300 civilians. So yes, these are bad actors, and this is not an act to be lauded. Although again, providing great relief for these these 2 hostages and their family members. But ultimately, they're just buying for time, and we don't know how many hostages that they still have, and the number could go up, as acknowledged earlier in the week by John Kirby, that there are still many unknowns and the number of hostages can increase.
Well, we unfortunately don't have a whole lot of more information this morning, Mika, about where they are, what kind of groups they might be in, whether they're being moved around. We don't even know the full total hostage pool, certainly for Americans. We think a small number of Americans are in that group, but it could rise.
Just shows you how the administration was caught completely unawares by this and is still in many ways uninformed, despite the enormous intelligence assets that they have at their disposal. And just to clarify, some of the logistics about the region we're talking about, I thought I'd do a little bit of investigation on how big the Gaza Strip actually is. It's incredibly small. It is incredibly tiny. Of course, there are going to be there's going to be crossfire. There's going to be unintended casualties, because we're dealing with a region less than half the square mileage of the city of Indianapolis. The Gaza Strip's 25 miles long by about 3.5 to 7.5 miles wide, a total area of 141 square miles, and they squeeze over 2 million people in that boundary compared to Indianapolis, which has square miles of 368 square mileage and a population of only 880,000. So you're dealing with an incredibly small area, and when you are misfiring rockets, they have the tendency to hit hospitals on your own side. That is a natural consequence of the behavior and these unprovoked attacks against Israel. It's absolutely stunning, and unfortunately, the administration continuously empowers the bad actors in the region who support Hamas and are enacting this violence. So I don't have any confidence in the Biden administration to resolve the problem. If anything, they're going to exacerbate it, which is what will make the sound bites we're going to play later in the show even more cringeworthy and hilarious. Don't miss a moment of Saturday night on The Circle on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
I alphabetized my soundboard. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. F?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
I have to go to S for Sopranos. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think you got it.
It's so clean now. It's fantastic. Yeah, we have clearly run out of things to talk about. There's nothing else going on in the world.
It's a great world, everything's so.
This show is stupid.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
It's time to get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana. Take a little trip this football season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Shop any of Hubler's 12 locations or visit drivehubler.com and choose from over 1,000 vehicles. Chevy, Ford, GMC, Buick, Nissan, Acura, Mazda, Honda, and many more. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. Get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana, because Hubler's got you covered this football season for 100,000 miles. So what drives Indiana? DriveHubler.com. For over 1,000 vehicles, visit any of our 12 locations. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
A lot of schools talk about training the cybersecurity workforce of the future, but do they really deliver? My Computer Career has been supplying the IT workforce with thousands of skilled, certified pros for 15 years. Train with the experts in support, networking, or cybersecurity and start your career in months, not years. Upskill even faster. On campus or live online, qualified students may get financial aid, including the GI Bill. My Computer Career. Accredited, acclaimed, effective. Take the free career evaluation at mycomputercareer.edu.
Hey, at Total Wine & More, you'll love what you find this Halloween.
Me thirsty.
Oh, hey, Frankenstein. Did you enjoy that Cabernet?
Oh, good. Want margarita.
Well, all the villagers are raving about this tequila.
Ooh.
And we have it at the lowest price in town.
Economical.
Find what you love and love what you find with the totally lowest prices for Halloween, only at Total Wine & More. Now open in Avon at Rockville Road and Ronald Reagan Parkway.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Hey, you got any gum?
Yeah, check my backpack.
What's this?
Oh, that's naloxone. It can reverse an opioid overdose. I decided to always keep it on me after my friend almost died. It saved his life.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. That makes me want to have it with me, too.
You totally should. Check the pharmacy. It was actually really easy to get, and it's easy to use.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Naloxone saves lives. Learn more at cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
Don't want the worry of maintaining your furnace or air conditioner? Join B&W's Premier Club today.
Go to B+W.com. B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
All the moon men want things their way.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Goodbye.
Welcome back, Indianapolis, to another edition of Saturday Night on the Circle, where this evening we've been discussing the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas, only exacerbated by an incompetent Biden administration who's doing everything to add gasoline to the fire, it seems, including being supported by a base that is blatantly anti-Semitic, and we'll provide some examples later in the show. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Ethan Hatcher. Producer Kevin, beep, 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 pushing the buttons and doing the things to make the show function, joined by producer Gary. We appreciate your hard work as usual, gentlemen. This segment, we're going to discuss the possibility of bringing in more than 1 million refugees from the Gaza Strip, a frightening number that you may be perplexed by, considering that in the last segment we told you the entire population of the Gaza Strip is 2 million. So you're saying half the population of a region, half the size of Indianapolis, is going to be moving to the United States, and somehow we're responsible for this? Yes, says representatives like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but also a surprise that I think you'll be interested in after we get to her clip.
Should Arab countries be taking on the lion's share of the burden to absorb what could be over 1 million, if not more, refugees from Gaza?
I think there's something to be said about the region's partners being able to support and step up Palestinians. However, that does not abdicate the United States from our historic role that we've played in the world of accepting refugees and allowing people to restart their lives here.
It is crazy. We say to give a woman power,
is like to give a gun to a monkey. We have stopped doing that ever since the 1999 Astana Zoo massacre.
So I'm really struggling to follow the logic of how Hamas attacking more than 1,300 innocent Israeli civilians equates to the United States being on the hook of absorbing 1 million and possibly more refugees from a country with from a region with a population of 2 million. Like, I'm really struggling to understand how attacking innocent civilians means that the United States is responsible for importing more than 60% of the country. This completely lacks sense, and I expect nonsense like that out of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but what I don't expect it from is the Republican Party. And here you have a spar between Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis over the state of these refugees, and Nikki Haley taking the side that we need to accept these people in, and Ron DeSantis rightfully pointing out that not only do these people are these people actively involved in conflict with Israel, but they don't share our values and are openly anti-Semitic. So no, we shouldn't necessarily be importing those values to our country. A topic that was discussed, as producer Kev might remember, between Casey and I on Tuesday's edition of Kendall and Casey, where I had these remarks about the situation.
It makes me question the leadership of Nikki Haley, that her first intuitive instinct is to import more refugees. When we have a refugee, like, we are full up right now, regardless of how much these people may or may not deserve to have shelter. We currently are at max capacity. We cannot further import more refugees until we stem the tide of our current crisis. And it's not America's responsibility to solve the world's woes. Nikki, that's taxpayer dollars. Nikki, I'm very sorry for the innocent people who have been victimized by the actions of Hamas. Nikki, but it doesn't mean that my taxpayer dollars need to go solve their problem.
Need to take care of them.
What about Jordan? What about Egypt? What about Israel? What about all the other Middle Eastern countries? What about friggin' Iran that we just gave $16 billion plus their $40 billion in oil? I'm sure they could take a few refugees, and Casey, they might be more culturally simpatico, you know what I mean? If they went to like Iran, they might feel more at home than transplanting overseas to the United States with a vastly different system, a vastly different culture, with vastly different values, and all of a sudden they're forced to respect Jews. Oh no!
And vastly different laws that they'll have to abide by as well.
And again, I circle back to the idea that regardless of how you feel about how deserving these refugees are of shelter within the United States, we're full up. We're experiencing a refugee crisis of our own. Cities like Chicago, New York, already overwhelmed. Hospitals, hotels, police stations at capacity or overflowing with people on the sidewalks. There is no more room for 1 million or more refugees from a country that, with a population of 2 million people. Sorry. In addition to that, the United States is over $32 trillion in debt. We have problems of our own to take care of. And although we should support Israel going in their conflict against Hamas, that does not mean that we're responsible for an influx of migrants from the region who then want to transplant themselves halfway across the globe to our country. No, sorry. There are closer countries that you can rely on. There are people with whom you share more cultural identity that you should be seeking instead of the United States. Now, here is Kamala Harris, who, of course, is cartoonish in her own right, but making the ridiculous claim that somehow in this situation, President Biden is uniquely qualified to bring peace to the region. I laugh, and so will you when you hear this ridiculous claim.
I think our President Joe Biden is uniquely qualified and skilled to do the work that must be done by American leadership, to stand with our friend Israel and to speak to the importance of the protection of civilians and to speak about the importance of recognizing that Israelis and Palestinians all deserve to live in a safe environment, to be able to exercise self-determination.
Stop it, please, I beg you! It's a sin! It's a sin! It's a sin!
If anything, I think it is more logical to point to Biden's relative weakness as a destabilizing influence in the region. Look, it shocked the hell out of me when Donald Trump former president sent his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, overseas to negotiate Middle Eastern peace deals, and that he comes back with like 3, including Jordan and the United Arab Emirates. Like, that was a surprise. But Donald Trump had a stabilizing influence on the region, including his partnership with Saudi businessmen, who then had a moderating influence on their compatriots in the Middle East. Like, we saw a relative time of peace under Donald Trump compared to Joe Biden, whose projected weakness has destabilized regions like Afghanistan, his weakness inviting the Taliban to immediately retake power, or when he openly gave away the game to Russia and indicated there would be no military response should a, quote, minor incursion into Ukraine occur. So Joe Biden is not, quote, uniquely qualified to bring peace to the region. If anything, he is uniquely disqualified from accomplishing anything productive, especially when he goes on to fund Israel's enemies, as we talked about in the first segment. Now, here is Joe Biden in his interview with Scott Pelley claiming that he thinks, should he run again, not only will he bring peace to the Middle East, he's going to unite Israel and Europe and Asia and the whole kit and caboodle.
Are you sure that you want to run again?
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Yes, because I'm sure. Look, when I ran, I said the world's at an inflection point. The world's changing, but we have an opportunity to make it. So imagine if we were able to succeed in getting the Middle East put in place where we have normalization of relations. I think we can do that. Imagine what happens if we, in fact, unite all of Europe and Putin is finally put down where he cannot cause the kind of trouble he's been causing.
What I'm trying to imagine is a post-Biden presidency, so hopefully we can pick up the pieces and start fixing the shambling country that he has reduced us to in 4 short years. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. More content to come, including a scathing review of Kamala Harris' latest crutch. You'll hear it all in the next segment for Hat Tricks with Hatcher.
Kendall and Casey.
Federal Communications Commission, certain words that we are not allowed to broadcast.
Well, we warned someone about their behavior recently and they didn't listen to us.
If this were a podcast, we could play all the potty mouth we wanted to, but since it's a broadcast, we cannot. So if you want to get on the air with us, just make sure you keep your language clean, and that's all I'll say about that.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Fox News, I'm Roger Stern. More hostilities between Israel and Hamas. Fox's Trey Yingst is in southern Israel.
The Israelis continue to strike targets along the Gaza Strip. Gaza, in the distance, there's some smoke rising up across the area as the sun is about to go down.
Egypt allowed 20 trucks carrying food and medicine to cross into Gaza. That's far less than Gazan Palestinians need. Hamas has released 2 American-Israeli hostages, a mother and daughter. It ends 2 weeks of anguish for the girl's grandfather.
I did not sleep at night, and my head always been in Israel.
House Republicans will try again next week to select a speaker. Tuesday marks 3 weeks since the ouster of Kevin McCarthy. America is listening to Fox News.
Everyone is talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation. Like your neighbor Dennis.
In the process of refinishing my garage and, trying to turn it into a man cave. So I started searching, online, and I ran across Galaxy.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings is not epoxy. It's better.
First thing I wanted to do initially is I wanted to repair where the concrete had eroded. They said they could do that. I said, well, heck, let me go ahead and get the entire floor covered.
Commercial or residential, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a 15-year warranty.
They were so courteous and respectful of the home and the property. And when they're done, they cleaned up, picked up, swept up. It was like they were never there.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com now. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. And remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We're out of this world.
I would recommend Galaxy over any other competitor, hands down. You're going to be taken care of and you're going to be satisfied. These guys know what they're doing.
Electric vehicles are here to stay. And if you're looking for an electric vehicle, Andy Moore Ford is your EV headquarters. More selection. Get to Andy Moore Ford to shop the Mach-E, the E-Transit, the F-150 Lightning in stock, and more arriving daily. Save more at the pump when you switch to an Andy Moore Ford EV. Say hello to more rebates with federal and state incentives. You could save more. How's over $7,500 sound to you? But the benefits don't end there. Purchasing an EV with Andy Moore means you can take advantage of excellent services like more to your door, more peace of mind with over a decade of experience in selling and servicing electric vehicles. Andy Moore Ford's EV experts are here to answer all of your questions from sales to service, parts to maintenance. Check out Andy Moore Ford. Find them in Plainfield at 2713 East Main Street, 2713 East Main Street. Andy Moore Ford. Andy Moore, M-O-H-R. AndyMooreFord.com. That's AndyMooreFord.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, your American Standard air dealer.
I'm Dwight Freeney, and my friend Eli is alive today thanks to someone who said yes to organ donation. When Eli was just 12 years old, he received a liver transplant that saved his life because someone just like you said yes to being an organ donor. His story and many others like his are why I have teamed up with Indiana Donor Network and Donate Life Indiana to help end the wait for life-saving organs. You can help. Say yes to being an organ donor next time you are at the BMV.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. You may be aware that online crime is a huge threat, but did you know this problem could be a great career opportunity for you? Cybersecurity experts are in high demand and well paid. You can position yourself for this specialty in months, not years, at My Computer Career, even with no prior IT experience. Learn how you can train for this rewarding career at mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
When your health is complicated, it's important that your health insurance is not. That's why CareSource offers affordable marketplace plans with a premium network that helps you stay healthy. In addition to doctor visits, emergency services, hospital care, and prescription benefits, we also provide dependable coverage for chronic conditions like diabetes, too. To learn more about our marketplace health plans, visit caresource.com/marketplace. CareSource, we got you.
After a car wreck, it can feel like you're living in a horror show.
Don't let the insurance company make you feel like you're living in a bad, scary movie. I'm attorney Daryl Isaacs. Just click to get help quick at WeWin.com.
Happy Halloween from the Hammer.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
You use a sturdy boy. Welcome back to Saturday Night on the Circle, where this week we'll show you Kamala Harris' baffling love affair with a diagram method. Scott Pelley points out sleepy Joe Biden's exhausted and disheveled appearance on the news, and the HHS secretary offers a perplexing word salad worthy of abject mockery. Don't miss a moment of this week's collection on Hat Tricks with Hatcher.
It's time for another one of Hatcher's Hat Tricks.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle, 93 WIBC, where producer Kevin beep, 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 is pushing the buttons with producer Gary and running the show, helping everything be smooth. We appreciate your hard work, as always. Now, last segment, you heard the ridiculous claim by Kamala Harris that Joe Biden is somehow uniquely qualified to handle the situation in the Middle East, something that we know is laughable. If anything, his influence has an incredibly destabilizing effect on the region and geopolitics abroad. Here you'll hear Janet Yellen stick to her guns that Biden is very vibrant and involved. Yes, that's what you would call his appearance anytime he shambles in front of the camera. Vibrant.
I know you're not backing a woman to be president in the next election, because I know you'll be backing President Biden loud and clear. Does he still have the energy for another 5 years in the job?
Absolutely. He's very involved, very vibrant. is doing an excellent job. And I think when we face the kinds of troubles that we have in the Middle East, you can see the benefit of deep experience and understanding of global issues.
Have you lost your reptilian-ass mind?
Deep understanding of global issues, she says. Look, they're going to have enough trouble pumping him full of enough meth and formaldehyde to get a shambling corpse across the finish line for re-election, let alone surviving the next 5 years. Janet Yellen. Oh, he's very vibrant and involved, she says. Absolutely laughable, especially when you have Scott Pelley pointing out during his appearance on the new Sleepy Joe, very tired, very exhausted.
As we spoke to the president, his Secretary of State was in Israel. His Defense Secretary was at a NATO meeting on Ukraine. America's oldest president seemed tired from directing all of this.
Yes, he always seems tired whenever he's making a speech, whenever he's speaking with the press, whenever he's trying in vain oftentimes to read fluently from a teleprompter. He sounds aged, he sounds incoherent, he sounds confused, and he doesn't sound like a vibrant executive in charge of his faculties and the country at large. Absolutely absurd. Kamala Harris, of course, she claims to be a geek and is circling back to one of her old favorite diagrams, the Venn diagram, which she apparently just has a love affair with.
So here's one thing I'm going to share about myself. I'm kind of a geek. So to that extent, one of the things I love are Venn diagrams. I love Venn diagrams. So you could pull out a Venn diagram to help you with anything that looks like it's in conflict, right? So a Venn diagram.
Sad. Very sad. Sad.
This isn't the first time she has mentioned Venn diagrams. In fact, it's kind of a crutch. It's kind of a tick almost. Whenever she goes out, she practically brings up Venn diagrams every other day. Here is but a small montage of mentions of Venn diagrams from Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris apparently loves a Venn diagram. And gosh, she loves telling us about it.
Remember Venn diagrams, those three circles, right? And then let's just see where they overlap. You will not be surprised because I have constructed a Venn diagram on this. Remember those three circles, how they overlap? I love Venn diagrams, so I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, the three circles. And so I asked my team, right? They're fantastic. Right, he sees the Venn diagram of it all. He sees that there are those circles, and maybe people seem that they're a little different. They live in different parts of the country. They may be different age or different race. But that area in the middle, that overlap, I asked my team to do a Venn diagram of where these attacks are happening. So voting rights, women's reproductive rights, LGBTQ rights. And of course, there was a huge intersection. I asked my team to do a Venn diagram for me of where we are seeing attacks and who are the attacks against and the similarity. And when you look at a diagram of just a Venn diagram.
I'm gonna kill myself! I'm going to kill myself, and it's your fault!
Obviously not the sharpest knife in the drawer. This woman is a walking example of diversity hire. She's the definition of diversity hire, not somebody chosen for her qualifications or her intellect, but literally her gender and color of her skin. It's obscene, and she is a clown show on a daily basis. This is the vice president of the United States, who is incredibly unpopular, who has enormous unfavorability ratings, and who is a deeply silly person who doesn't deserve the office she's ascended to, is Kamala Harris and her Venn diagrams. Also, speaking of administration officials that do not deserve the office they've ascended to, here's Xavier Becerra, Health and Human Services Secretary, offering up a very baffling word salad of nonsense in regards to climate change and health equity. If you don't understand what he's talking about, neither does he, rest assured.
Pick one innovation for me that you think is most promising in managing, again, this problem of health equity and climate injustice.
What?
Well, the fact that we are treating climate change is something that requires us to look at health equity, because there are, as I said, communities who today are suffering the dire consequences of climate change. They can't afford to just turn on the switch to the air conditioner. They can't afford to take that shade break.
Oh, come on!
The way some of us could. They can't afford to even stay home to get a paycheck.
Shite. Oh, yes. That's shite.
We have to address health equity and climate change because some people can't afford to turn the air conditioning on or apparently find a shade tree. They can't afford to find a shade tree. What is he talking about? He's not talking about anything substantial. He's just spouting nonsense. This is the Health and Human Secretary offering up a perplexing word salad of, abject ridiculousness. He's not talking about anything substantive, but these are the administration officials that Biden has peppered across a litany of the bureaucracy. And that's why you see the incredible incompetency in government. That's why you see faster than ever, it seems, that the country is degrading at an alarming rate, because you have wildly incompetent individuals that you wouldn't trust to run a Wendy's who are now in charge of multi-million-dollar bureaus dictating which rules get enforced and how agency dollars are spent, including on ridiculous initiatives like health equity and climate change. I'm not sure what the connection is there, and neither is he when he's trying to make it seem like ordinary Americans can't afford to find a shade tree. Yes, climate change has eliminated shade trees across the fruited plain. It's absurd. Unfortunately, we got to leave it there. Stay tuned for more on 93 WIBC. Coming up next, we'll talk about something that I'd meant to get to last week, but we didn't have enough time. The ongoing shambling relationship between Jada and Will Smith. It seems that young Master Will has completely let himself be emasculated, and there's been further developments on the story since even last week. We'll tell you all about it in the next segment, so stay tuned.
We feel.
Do you feel like we do? Feel it as soon as you step out the door.
What you feel.
Bundle up. Feels like winter.
Could be more like summertime.
Do you feel like we do?
All the feels.
It feels a little like winter.
Feels more like summer.
Of fall.
It's kind of the clash of two seasons.
Weather. When you need it.
The ebbs and flows this time of the year is so evident.
On your official fall weather station. 93 WIBC.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and sometimes the scariest things aren't always in the crawl space or basement. Many times they're the dirt and stains in our carpets, but that's a whole lot easier to handle with Zero Res. Fall's the time of year when everybody tracks in so much crud and vacuuming can only do so much. When you combine that with an extended allergy season, it's time to call Zero Res. Here's the good news. You can get online in seconds for quick and easy scheduling focused on you. Their background checked and certified technicians take care of things usually in 2 to 3 hours, and your floors dry quickly because they use the patented ZR water that cleans with no soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals. Zero Res gets all the yuck out for a fresh fall cleaning. Now mention WIBC and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at $149. Plus you'll get a free hallway and $50 off air duct cleaning too. That's right, air duct cleaning, and it'll help improve the air quality in your home, help reduce your energy costs, and just help you breathe easier. Schedule your appointment online at zeroresindy.com.
Are you tired of paying these insane rates on your credit cards and other loans? You can cut those payments by hundreds of dollars a month by using the equity in your home. What's up? It's Hammer here from the Hammer and Nigel Show. Loan Pronto is here, and they can help you tap that equity and get tens of thousands of dollars in less than a week. Their Equity Express line of credit can get you enough money to pay off all those ridiculous high-interest credit cards or maybe that car loan. You won't lose your 3% mortgage rate. It stays intact. You can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying ridiculous interest rates on those credit cards and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto today. 317-953-6525. 953-6525. 953-6525. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval.
Denny Smith for Sundown Gardens and Miss M's Home and Garden. The discounts for the big fall sale jumped to 30 to 40% off nursery stock, plus 20% off all fall annuals, pumpkins, and mums. Hurry in now while supplies last in the greenhouse. Container trees and shrubs can still be planted, and you save big money buying now. Sundown Gardens at 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield, sundown.gardens.com. Miss M's Home and Garden on State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road, msmshomeandgarden.com.
Georgia Street Tailgates presented by Peterman Brothers, Sunday 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. before the Colts-Browns game. Free entertainment on the Jack Daniels stage, plus food and drinks, brought to you in part by Jack Daniels, New Belgium Brewing, 1150 Academy, and the Veterans Administration.
It's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there.
You're listening to Saturday Night on The Circle on 93 WIBC.
Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there.
Welcome back to 93 WIBC. You're listening to Saturday Night on The Circle, where I'm your host, Ethan Hatcher, producer Kevin, and producer Gary, running the ship, helping the show function, beep, 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 pushing the buttons and doing the things to make everything sound right. This segment, I wanted to talk about the degenerating relationship, or non-relationship, I guess you'd call it, between Jada and Will Smith. If anything, because I'm so torn, because on the one hand, I feel pity for this poor man who's been completely emasculated by this hag. On another level, he's brought it on himself wholly, especially after her recent ridiculousness. I don't think you can blame anyone besides Will for inviting this to have happened. Of course, Jada, more than a week ago now, making an appearance on, I believe it was the Today Show, where she talked about how apparently they've been separated since 2016.
When we met up with Jada in her hometown of Baltimore to talk about her candid new memoir, Worthy, she opened up about an issue that has been kept secret until now.
There are so many surprising things in the book, but the thing that surprised me the most, that I actually had to reread it because I said, is this true?
Right.
Was that in 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives.
Yes.
It was not a divorce on paper,
right,
but it was a divorce. So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
yes,
y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Okay, so if I'm trying to understand this correctly, even though they've been representing themselves as being in a relationship for the last 6 years now, they've apparently been separated. This doesn't make any sense. Going back to 2019, Jada Smith was talking about how, they'd been seeing a relationship counselor and they'd healed the hurt between them. Just last year, Will Smith, of course, famously smacking Chris Rock, get my wife's name out your MFing mouth, and screaming at the Oscars, causing a scene, all in the name of Jada, who said that slap showed her more than anything that she loved her husband, Will, and now throwing him under the bus very publicly in this memoir, in which she's once again wresting away the limelight, because that's all this talentless hack can do. She doesn't have any legitimate, talent. What was one of her most recent productions, Cleopatra, universally panned, bombing, a cumulative rating of 1.2 across the internet, because it was so bombed and so awful. The country of Egypt sued the production that she was a part of because of how insulting it was to the history. So Jada Smith doesn't have any talent. She's not gotten a box office draw. All she's got is the gossip and rumor mill and churning up drama in order to get attention on herself. And I feel sorry for Will, but on the other hand, he's inviting this situation on himself by putting up with it and continuing to stand by her just on Wednesday night. They were in her hometown of Baltimore, where they were shoulder to shoulder. He was hugging her, and he said, I'm gonna show up for her and support her for the rest of my life. Why would you do that when this woman is so publicly emasculating you? Again, ultimately, he's the one to blame. And this is a pattern of behavior from Will that's going back several years. The same year, 2019, when she's saying, promoting this relationship counselor and how they've healed the hurt, she's also unconsensually filming him, something which made its way to the internet in a very uncomfortable peek into how their lives function, or lack thereof, more of a dysfunction. Here she is non-consensually filming Will, again, I guess lying at that point that the hurt had been healed and their relationship was on the mend.
Esther Perel is coming to the table. She's going to be at the red table. Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Esther, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Because she don't just...
Would you say that she helped us heal the hurts that we caused between one another?
My social media presence is my bread and butter, okay? So you can't just use me for social media and not, don't just start rolling. I'm standing in my house. Don't just start rolling.
Please watch Esther at the red table, because she's helped us a lot. Can't you tell?
I'd buy that for $1.
Helped us a lot. What a crock. And again, you can only sit back and say that Will Smith has invited this on himself because he's putting up with it. You can drive away from the paparazzi, but you can't drive away from your witch of a wife who is essentially cornering you in your own house, shoving a camera in your face. He's got two nitwit children, Jada and Willow Smith, who often can't decide what gender they are. They have very little talent, and this man has it's creating your bed, and now he has to lie in it. And again, I'm torn on this idea whether you should feel sorry for him or just acknowledge that this is a situation that he's created. Either way, it's a model for how no man should live. Kevin, take this to heart. You should not put up with this level of abuse from your woman. No man deserves this kind of treatment.
Oh, never.
Right. Take back your masculinity. I mean, what's your feeling on this? Do you feel sorry for Will, or do you think he deserves it because, again, he's put up with it for so long? So at what point do you take responsibility for your own plight?
Yeah, I think he's, he got himself in this mess, so I don't really feel bad.
Yeah, and the juice cannot be worth the squeeze. Like, I'm sorry, but just looking at this hag, it can't possibly all be worth it. And those long overnight hours, like, no. And again, when you are Will freaking Smith, you have blockbuster power that spans multiple decades. You have brought billions of dollars to the box office. I think you can afford better as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, Will is in a position of negotiating strength. Use it, my friend. Anyway, thanks for listening to the show Saturday night on The Circle. We got a lot more coming up in the next hour, including covering the ridiculous situation for House Speaker. Now going back to a night with WIBC. It's been 3 weeks since Kevin McCarthy was ousted, and the longer this goes on, the less optimism I have for any resolution that is meaningful for conservatives, if anything, especially with Jim Jordan now stepping down and taking his name out of the race. I have very little hope for how the race for Speaker is going to turn out. However, we will tell you who is now considering the role and a few names that have cropped up in the Republican House. We'll cover all that coming up next on Saturday night on The Circle.
93 WIBC.
Delphi murder suspect Richard Allen needs a new legal team.
Previous legal team was accused of leaking evidence.
Allen will need a public defender.
Hear the news.
President Biden addressing us from the White House,
describing Hamas as pure, unadulterated evil.
Another update is just minutes away.
Temperatures will bounce between the 40s and the 70s.
The warmer air trying to win out, but the colder air will eventually win in the end. A warm period later next week.
93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
It's time to get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana. Take a little trip this football season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Shop any of Hubler's 12 locations or visit drivehubler.com and choose from over 1,000 vehicles. Chevy, Ford, GMC, Buick, Nissan, Acura, Mazda, Honda, and many more. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. Get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana, because Hubler's got you covered this football season for 100,000 miles. So what drives Indiana? DriveHubler.com. For over 1,000 vehicles, visit any of our 12 locations. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp data bank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
Every dollar matters when it comes to Medicare coverage. When you enroll with MDY's Medicare, our low-cost plans give you access to over 27,000 in-network providers. $0 primary care copay with no deductibles, plus a generous OTC allowance. Call 833-248-3906 or go to mdwise.org/MDY's Medicare. Enroll by December 7th. MDY's Medicare is an HMO/HMO POS with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in MDY's Medicare depends on contract renewal.
Broadcasting from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. This is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
Reservist died yesterday. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, say his death is the result of missile launches by Hezbollah. Fox's Steve Harrigan reports from Beirut, Lebanon.
That reservist's name was Omer Balva. He was just 22 years old. He was a dual American and Israeli citizen. He came from Maryland. When his country, Israel, came under attack, he responded as a reservist, came over here last week to fight, and was killed by anti-tank fire coming from Lebanon, from Hezbollah. The fighting between Hezbollah and Israelis over the northern border has been steady, but so far it has been contained.
Israel is seemingly ready for an invasion of Gaza as it continues the fight with Hamas terrorist group. Hope as 2 Americans are released by Hamas Friday. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson.
2 American hostages have recently been freed from Hamas captivity. 10 other Americans are missing and feared also held in captivity inside Gaza, joining more than 200 Israelis. Dozens of frustrated family members and friends demanding the return of more than 200 hostages from Hamas. They protested outside the defense minister's home tonight, demanding the resignation of Israel's top hostage negotiator.
The White House releasing video of the president speaking with the freed Americans.
I'm glad you're home. Or not home, I'm glad you're out.
that's been long serving. I'm just delighted we're able to get you out. We've been working on it a long time. We're gonna get them all out, God willing.
When asked earlier today about encouraging a ground invasion, the president said he is talking to the Israelis. In Michigan this morning, Detroit synagogue president Samantha Wall was found fatally stabbed outside her home. America is listening to Fox News.
New from the Fox News Podcast Network.
I'm Emily Campagno, and this is the Fox True Crime Podcast.
And I had nothing to do with her disappearance.
I sit down with the people who lived the nightmares.
I was in shock. I was just devastated.
The investigators who tirelessly worked on the case.
And I really hope that they can catch this guy.
Bringing you closer to the story than you ever thought possible.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
These are the stories that keep you up at night.
Get all of your favorite Fox News podcasts commercial-free on Apple Podcasts with Fox News Podcasts Plus. From Dana Perino, Kennedy, Ben Domenech, The Duffys, and many more. Subscribe now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com. The Fox News Rundown, a contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Your daily dose of news twice a day, featuring insight from top newsmakers, reporters, and Fox News contributors. Listen and subscribe now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com.
A judge temporarily lifts a gag order on former
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Investigating 2 shootings. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. Early Saturday morning shootings in Indy left 2 people dead. Ryan Hedrick reports.
IMPD says the shootings happened at Jack's Liquors on Georgetown Road. The second killing was a short time later at a gas station on East 21st and North Emerson Avenue. In both cases, the cops are looking for suspects. They do have witnesses in at least one case. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Another pro-Palestine rally happened Friday night on Monument Circle. Some chants called for Palestine to be free. Others called Israel a terrorist state. It has been 2 weeks since Hamas attacked Israel. Thousands of Palestinians and Israelis have died in the conflict. But this coming week, you can get into the Halloween spirit while giving back to your community. You and your family members are invited to dress up and participate in the Trick or Eat food drive in Fishers. At this event, your kids can enjoy treats, a story time, crafts, and more. All you need to do is bring a non-perishable food item to donate. The food drive will run Tuesday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Delaware Township Community Center. And if you were looking to catch a movie soon, you may want to know that Martin Scorsese's latest film, Killers of the Flower Moon, is now playing. You can also see The Nightmare Before Christmas in some theaters this weekend. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Tonight, partly cloudy, staying breezy, wind gusts up to 25 miles an hour. Our low temperatures in the mid-40s. Sunday, mostly sunny skies. Our high temperatures in the upper 50s. On Wish TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Hey Lonnie, how exciting is Jiffy Lube's new partnership with the AAA Hoosier Motor Club?
It is so great to see 2 longtime trusted experts in automotive maintenance join forces to provide amazing benefits to each other's clients.
AAA members have always saved at least 15% at Jiffy Lube, but now on Thursdays, all AAA members save $25.
And new AAA members get their first oil change half price plus a free tire rotation. If you aren't a AAA member yet, join today.
Great savings from 2 names you can trust. Jiffy Lube is a one-stop shop for all your car's maintenance needs, from oil changes and filters to brakes and tires. Jiffy Lube makes sure your car keeps running well.
Those quickie places that simply drain your oil, change your filter, slap you on the tailpipe, and kick you out the door love to brag about forcing you to stay in your car. But at Jiffy Lube, we give you the choice to stay in your car or enjoy the Wi-Fi in our lounge while we vacuum your car for free.
Become a AAA member today and start saving big at Jiffy Lube.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service? Do you need to find a well-trained dealer like Marshall Mechanical in Franklin? We'll find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
My prayer is to linger with you.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
At the end of the day.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to 93 WIBC, another exciting edition of Saturday Night on the Circle. I'm your host, Ethan Hatcher, the bespectacled curmudgeon, the square peg in this round world. Thanks for joining me on yet another Saturday evening. This time we're diving into the ridiculousness in the House Republican caucus right now, as they are seemingly unable to pick a House Speaker. Jim Jordan being ousted after 3 rounds of voting, despite the fact that he is far and away the most popular contender for Speaker of the House when it comes to conservative members of the party, when it comes to actually representing where the base is. Jim Jordan would be a pretty good pick, but the establishment Republicans standing in the way of that selection. In fact, with every vote, more Republicans moving away from Jim Jordan, as they are apparently content to leave the House adrift without a leader at the helm. And on the one hand, ideologically, I'm kind of excited by the possibility that nothing in Congress is getting done. On the other hand, this makes Republicans look incredibly incompetent, especially Matt Gaetz, who once again seems to have had absolutely no plan at all to move forward. This is the second time he's done this, hanging up, the Kevin McCarthy nomination because he wanted Jim Jordan to have the nod, even though Jim Jordan didn't want the seat at the time, and now pushing Jim Jordan forward, but being ultimately stymied by the establishment and unable to secure his victory. You need to have a plan going into these things, or else it makes you look incredibly incompetent. And Dan Crenshaw rightfully calling out other members within the party as exuding this false nobility for making this stand when they're not accomplishing anything. And if anything, they are holding up the work of the people, which, like it or not, includes having a House Speaker to move legislation through the Congress.
I've said this a week and a half ago, that if Jim Jordan's allies went down this path, he wouldn't become Speaker. They would entrench opposition. That's exactly what's happened. So they're not moving. That's the facts as they are right now. I'm going to vote for Jim Jordan on this third round because I'm a stickler for process. He won the majority. I'm going to vote for him as long as he's running. But the facts aren't changing. People should understand the facts aren't changing. Trying to push us into the weekend and force votes and this kind of fake nobility of getting the job done, that's not going to work. It's going to backfire. I want people to understand, too, sitting around a room up here arguing about who's the most popular, that's not working for the American people. I don't like it when people come on Fox and say we got to get the work done. That's not work. I want to remind my fellow legislators that work up here is your committee work. It's legislating, it's writing bills, and so what you need is somebody in the chair who can bring bills to the floor. That's the actual work for the American people. Too many have forgotten that.
And as much as you can criticize the conservative members of Congress for throwing the House speakership into chaos, you definitely can point the finger at establishment Republicans from holding up the process and preventing the nomination and confirmation of far and away the most popular representative among conservative members being Jim Jordan. Like, if it's radical and extreme for conservatives to remove the speaker for not fulfilling his promises to the people, then it is equally extreme for these establishment types to prevent the rule of order from continuing and holding up the nomination for speaker. In effect, holding hands and joining with Hakeem Jeffries, known election denier.
At every step of the way, Republicans have rejected bipartisanship and embraced extremism. Jim Jordan is a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Establishment, you always know what's best.
You suck! Learn the rules! So you have these establishment Republicans who essentially agree with Hakeem Jeffries that Jim Jordan is far too extreme to represent the party or even give a chance, and so they're willing to keep the Congress in chaos adrift without a captain at the helm. because they don't like the nomination from conservative members. They don't like who their base actually supports, which should tell you a thing or two about the state of the Republican Party and the incredibly disingenuous nature of representation. Because I'm sure if you went back to their constituency, many of the people who voted for those Republicans in office would tell them that Jim Jordan has their vote. But they don't give a damn about you. They don't give a damn about the people. They give a damn about their power and holding on to it and making sure that the establishment wheels are greased and that their grasp on the bureaucracy is not threatened, which it would be if you had an actual conservative in the leadership cutting government spending and limiting the power, reach, and influence of Congress over the people. That's not in the Republican cards. It used to be. That was the values they espoused during the grand old Tea Party days of now more than a decade ago in 2010, when the Republican Party, ascended in the modern sense during the Obama administration to overturn it, and then immediately abandoned the values that they ran on, which has become a sad pattern among the Republican Party. They do not stand for what they claim to represent. The low taxes, individual responsibility, and limited government, it doesn't exist among establishment Republicans in Congress. They would rather continue to have a lack of leadership and endanger the very issues that they claim to care about, like supporting Israel or having a voice in geopolitical affairs or making sure that the wheels of government continue to function with spending packages. Like, they do not care if they do not have their guy in charge. And so they're willing to throw the whole process, just throw it into chaos as a result. So those are the establishment Republicans who are preventing the rule of order from resuming, and I'm sure they'll get their way. With each passing day, I have less confidence in the ultimate positive resolution for the battle of House Speaker. Now, we have a couple of names which have come up in the meantime, including Oklahoma's Kevin Hern, Georgia's Austin Scott, Florida's Byron Donalds, and Louisiana's Mike Johnson, as well as Michigan's Jack Bergman, and Minnesota's Tom Emmer. He's currently the majority whip and number 3 Republican in the chamber who has McCarthy's backing. If anything, that should tell you he would probably be a poor nominee for House leadership. But that's where we're at. Most of these losers, I have no idea who they are, except for, of course, Florida's Byron Donalds. And he might be the most vocally conservative. Now, whether or not he's legitimately conservative, I haven't looked enough into his voting record. But Byron Donalds is the name that I recognize from that list. And a lot of these other people, I'm sure they're fine individuals, but whether or not they'd make a good House Speaker is extremely questionable, especially if they have the backing of Kevin McCarthy. Leave that loser in the dustbin of history. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle. We've got a lot more show on the way, including up next, we'll dive into how the squad is reacting, I should say, to the situation in Israel, and we'll get to those sound bites coming up next. Don't miss a moment of Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
I alphabetized my soundboard. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. F?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, sir.
I have to go to S for Sopranos. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think you got it.
It's so clean now. It's fantastic. Yeah, we have clearly run out of things to talk about. There's nothing else going on in the world.
It's a great world, everything's so.
This show is stupid.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
If you're on the job day in and day out, you know living with pain in your knees, hips, back, or shoulders is miserable. The good news, QC Kinetics gets it. They understand guys like you.
They don't have the luxury of taking time off. They want to keep working. We are built for those guys that want to keep working and want to stay active. So the vast majority of who we see are the blue-collar guys like me and you.
QC Kinetics uses biologic therapies, just like pro athletes have used for years, to get you lasting pain relief with no surgery.
I want you to continue working. I want you to continue exercising. The joints are made to be moved.
The treatments at QC Kinetics are fast and non-invasive.
It's not a lot of time commitment on your part. There is no downtime or recovery time. You don't need short-term disability with what we do. We want to keep you active.
Call QC Kinetics now to set up your free no-obligation consultation. Learn how you can get real pain relief. and stay on the job.
Call QC Kinetics 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Pat Sullivan here, wanting to help you stop a leaking pipe or leaking appliance before it happens in your home. My friends at Hope Plumbing highly recommend the installation of Streamlabs, which is a water leak detection at your fingertips. Streamlabs will detect, notify, and prevent possibly thousands of dollars worth of damage by automatically shutting off your water. Call Calvin, our Streamlabs specialist, at 317-790-9253 today to schedule your appointment.
CareSource Marketplace health plans are reliable and predictable. That's important because your life plans are not. CareSource gives you the affordable coverage and premium network to take on whatever comes your way. Emergency services, hospital care, prescriptions, and more. Our plans are simple and affordable because when your life is complicated, it's important that your health insurance is not. For affordable coverage when you need it most, visit caresource.com/marketplace. We got you.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
I was given a prescription opioid pain medication, and within only a few months, I was completely addicted. I lost everything. I had to leave school and stop playing sports in college, and I started to watch my life slip away. I want people to know that these drugs are addictive. One prescription can be all it takes to lose everything.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RX awareness.
Got an emergency on the weekend? We're here for you at B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains.
Just go to B+W.com. B&W is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
This is Saturday Night on The Circle on 93 WIBC.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's reset the conversation discussing the ongoing conflict in Israel between the IDF and Hamas. It resulted in thousands of casualties. The initial instigating attack killing more than 1,300 civilians, including people in their homes, including women, including children, including teenagers, including people who were just attending a music festival. That was the attack by Hamas on Israel now more than 3 weeks ago. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. I'm your host, Ethan Hatcher. Producer Gary, beep, 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 pushing the buttons and running the board to make the show function. All right, so I felt it was necessary to kind of replay and reset the conversation and remind the listeners who instigated the attack. It was not Israel who attacked civilians. It was Hamas, who killed people in their beds, who raped women, who beheaded babies, who burned people alive. That was the brutality and the severity of the attack, which absolutely demands a military response to that incursion. But as Joe Biden would say,
get ready, Val. You're going in for a problem.
Because members of the squad, they do not see it that way. Now, Rashida Tlaib, who you may remember, couldn't bring it within herself to condemn the killing of children, the raping of women, the beheading of babies. Well, she has a thing or two to say about Israel defending itself, getting hysterical, worse yet, over a lie.
Continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital.
Lie! Lie!
With children.
Lie! Lying liar!
You know what's so hard sometimes is watching those videos and the people telling the kids don't cry.
Here comes the performance.
Let them cry. And they're shaking, and somebody, they keep telling them not to cry. They can cry. I can cry. We all can cry. If we're not crying, something is wrong. And so I'm telling you right now.
But I am telling you right now.
President Biden, not all of America's with you on this one. And you need to wake up and understand that. We are literally watching people commit genocide and killing the vast majority just like this, and we still stand by and say nothing. We will remember this, but all of you need to know, I swear to God, Wahyat Allah, you are on the right side of history. You are. You're doing everything possible to save lives. What is wrong with that?
Mental illness is a political identity and always has been.
What a lunatic. What a performative farce to get that worked up over retaliation that is absolutely deserved. Rashida Tlaib evidently suffering amnesia for the instigating attack on Israel. Now, of course, she claims what Israel is doing is genocide. What about those chants that you are helping to perpetuate in high schools from children, from the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free? That means killing every Jew. That means eliminating all the Jewish people from the region. And she's saying that Israel wants to commit genocide. This is how logically tenuous the liberals are when representing their position, because she is just a hair's breadth away from calling the Jews Nazis. And that's when you know we would have achieved full clown world. Of course, she's stopping just shy of that. She's like, well, they're committing genocide, but genocidal fascists. Who does that remind me of? Of course, Rashida Tlaib couldn't find it within her heart to criticize or to even acknowledge the barbarism and inhumanity of murdering children, of raping women, raping civilians, attacking innocents. Absolutely silent when it came to that. But then, of course, in this ceasefire protest, she's crying, she's sobbing, she's gasping for air, and perpetuating a lie, acting like Israel was the one who shot at the hospital. We found out from our own intelligence sources that wasn't true. Even her own Democrat president, Joe Biden, saying that Israel did not bomb the hospital.
Deeply saddened and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team.
So Rashida Tlaib there perpetuating a lie, crying crocodile tears over the hospital that Hamas bombed, the people that she supports who are killing innocent civilians. This doesn't make it complicated on how to feel about the situation and pick who's in the right and who's in the wrong. Talking about being on the right side of history, how barbaric and idiotic do you have to be to support the people who are beheading babies? Oh, well, Israel deserved it. That's what they say. Here's Cori Bush, who likewise says that lives. She wants to save lives with the ceasefire, but not talking about the lives that would be saved if Hamas would simply drop their arms. Not Israel, Hamas.
And so together, you all, we must be bold. We must stand. We must stand on the side of humanity. We must stand on the side of justice. We must stand on the side of equality. We must stand on the side of self-determination. We must stand on the side of love. We must stand on the side of safety. And we must stand on the side of peace. And we must be willing to speak out against war and violence and against our government's complicity in it. In this moment, and I said it, our government's complicity. So in this moment, we ask ourselves and we ask those around us, are you for war or against war? Are you for saving lives or are you against saving lives? The time to decide is now. Cease fire 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 now.
I'm on my land. We're both in America, which used to be a good country, until they started letting people like you do whatever you want.
Acting like Israel is the aggressor is absolute insanity. Israel didn't choose war. Israel didn't instigate the attack. Israel didn't hop the fence and kill civilians in Gaza. Israel didn't bomb their own hospital. Israel didn't rip up their own water supply lines. Talking about right side of history, talking about saving lives, Hamas doesn't give a damn about lives. They don't even give a damn about the stability of their own people. They could... It's insane. It's insane that the squad is so publicly and so vocally supporting the abject and obvious bad guys of the situation, but it shows you the content of these people's character and how far to the left the Democrat Party has actually moved, and they are spreading this radicalism to children. They are wrapping up their heads with false narratives about the colonizers of Israel and getting these people to chant. Again, that's the left. They like to project because Rashida Tlaib was projecting that Israel is committing genocide by responding to Hamas's horrendous attack. But on the other hand, her side and supporters are supporting genocide, actually cheering and chanting for it. These are high school children who want to see the extermination of the Jewish people and skipping through the hallways. Imagine if they were talking about any other group of people, how that would fly.
I'm going to be honest with you. I hate this place, this zoo, this prison, this reality, whatever you want to call it. I can't stand it any longer.
Like, I feel so bad for the educational system and for the children who are subjected to a system which has brainwashed them into supporting genocide. It's insanity. And you have representatives like Ilhan Omar, who engages in this kind of lunatic screeching against Israel, even though they are the victims of Hamas's terrorist attack.
Israel has dropped more bombs in the last 10 days than we dropped in a whole year in Afghanistan. Where is your humanity? Where is your outreach? Where is your care for people?
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
Insulting. Israel's dropped more bombs in the last month than we have in the entire year in Afghanistan. It's absolutely insulting, again, because she has amnesia of why Israel's doing this. She's acting like it's happening in a vacuum, like there isn't a reason for Israel to be attacking the Gaza Strip and going after the Hamas bastards who brutalized their citizens. It's insane, it's insulting, it's gross, and it's perfectly represented by the members of the squad. abroad who are putting their anti-Semitic behavior on full display, and that is what's sanctioned within the Democratic Party. That kind of behavior will fly and get you far. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle, by the way. We have a lot more content to come, turning our attention to matters of local news, including a surprise appointment for the vacated position by State Senator Sandlin, who passed away last month. We'll tell you who's stepping in up next on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
Federal Communications Commission, certain words that we are not allowed to broadcast.
Well, we warned someone about their behavior recently, and they didn't listen to us.
If this were a podcast, we could play all the potty mouth we wanted to, but since it's a broadcast, we cannot. So if you want to get on the air with us, just make sure you keep your language clean, and that's all I'll say about that.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
It's time to get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana. Take a little trip this football season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Shop any of Hubler's 12 locations or visit drivehubler.com and choose from over 1,000 vehicles. Chevy, Ford, GMC, Buick, Nissan, Acura, Mazda, Honda, and many more. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. Get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana, because Hubler's got you covered this football season for 100,000 miles. So what drives Indiana? DriveHubler.com. For over 1,000 vehicles, visit any of our 12 locations. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
PA Jewelers in Brownsburg is your place for fine jewelry, custom pieces, one-of-a-kind pieces, vintage pieces, and also your place to sell jewelry. 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg, PA Jewelers inside Premier Arms. You have old jewelry from grandma or jewelry you don't wear anymore? Come sell it for top dollar at PA Jewelers. I've sold jewelry there. My wife has. You're going to love the prices. PA Jewelers inside Premier Arms, 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg, premierarms.com.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, your American Standard air dealer.
Fox News, I'm Roger Stern. Israeli reservists are stationed along the Gaza border. As Fox's Mike Tobin tells us, Israel is getting ready for a ground invasion.
The Nahal Brigades, 188th Armored Brigades, the Golani Brigades, all of them training while they are massed along the border to begin what the defense minister describes as a long and painful process to eliminate Hamas.
The American mother and daughter held hostage in Gaza are now free. They're in Israel waiting to return home and getting a phone call from President Biden.
I'm glad you're out.
Thank you so very, very much.
Hey, Nat, how are you? God love you.
I just want to say thank you for your services for Israel.
The Israeli military says more than 200 people are still hostages in Gaza. America is listening to Fox News.
Planning on inviting friends and family over sometime soon? Whether you're hosting football parties, the neighborhood Halloween bash, or Thanksgiving gatherings, you know all about the hustle to get the house ready for guests. But there's one thing you can't address on your own: the stuck windows and doors, drywall cracks, uneven floors, bugs, or mold and mildew smells. Things that stand out. Indiana Foundation Service knows that all of these signs point to major damage building up in your foundation, crawl space, or basement, and it will only get worse over time. Don't worry. With a free foundation inspection from Indiana Foundation Service, the team's experts will identify your home's issue at the source. You'll want to get ahead of these problems sooner rather than later. Visit IndianaFoundation.com today to book your free inspection with a no-obligation quote included. Indiana Foundation Service. There's a reason they are the trusted local experts.
Indiana Foundation Service. Reliability from the ground up.
Think you know what high energy feels like? Wait until you experience the 2023-24 Indiana Pacers.
Or a driving right side, right baseline, two-hand slam.
Indiana Pacers basketball is back, and we are ramped up.
Here's a step back three. Young fella, way to knock him down.
It's opening night presented by Kroger on Wednesday, October 25th at 7 when the Pacers battle the Washington Wizards. Get your tickets at pacers.com/tickets.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Want to look your best? Then go to the best. Go where I go. 459 Barber Lounge. Across from the Fashion Mall on 86th Street. 459online.com. Tell them Tony Cat sent you.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
It's jungle out there. Disorder and confusion everywhere. No one seems to care. Well, I do.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
In the very air we breathe.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ethan Hatcher, your square peg in this round world. Always happy to be a part of the conversation on a Saturday evening. Thanks for tuning in and joining the show. You can always feel free to hop in the comments section while we broadcast live on the YouTube. Now, without the Rob Kendall Memorial camera at our disposal, so the camera feed is down, but the comments are up, and we encourage you to jump in, be a part of the show, make your voices known. I always enjoy seeing what you guys have to say in the comments section. All right, now let's dive into some local news. A surprise appointment for State Senator Sandlin, who passed away on September 20th. The Republican caucus has gotten together and made a replacement for District 36 there in the southern portion of Marion County and northern portion of Johnson County. It is Cindy Carrasco. You may remember that name from her failed bid for prosecutor of Marion County, trying to oust Ryan Mears and being soundly defeated by a plurality of the vote. I think Ryan Mears securing more than 60% of the vote here in Marion County. Not even close for poor Cindy, although I was a supporter. I've certainly voted for her. I attended several campaign events. Sadly, it was not to be. That was during the crisis, the Roe versus Wade crisis for many people here in Indianapolis. And Cindy Carrasco was the victim of a negative campaign on the part of Democrats who were exploiting the fear of Marion County residents that the prosecutor would somehow involve themselves in attacking pregnant women or women who seek the services of an abortion, which is not really part of what the Marion County prosecutor is doing. And certainly the most pressing problem is prosecuting violent offenders, which was what was the cornerstone of Cindy Carrasco's campaign. However, she wasn't able to connect with voters concerning their fears, largely unjustified fears about abortion. And so Ryan Mears once again securing his office. But now she has done this neat little trick that Republicans like to do here in the state, except this one is more legitimate since it was a representative who actually passed away, as opposed to prematurely retiring, especially quickly after having re-secured election. That is what Republicans have figured out that they can do, utilizing the power of incumbency. They can simply resign from their positions, allow the vacancy to be filled by Republican caucus, and then grant the power of incumbency to the insider establishment choice. which is what's going on here, evidently. Cindy Carrasco must be favored within establishment wings of the party, which doesn't necessarily bode well for what's going on down there in District 36. But that's the kind of uncontrollable, unaccountable leadership that you get when you have extremely gerrymandered districts like have been produced here in the state of Indiana. So Cindy Carrasco now assuming the position of state senator following the untimely passing of State Senator Sandlin last month. Also coming up in just a couple of days, actually 2 days, on Monday, October 23rd at 6 p.m., Wish TV will be airing the first televised mayoral debate in quite some time. Again, October 23rd, 6 p.m. between Democratic incumbent Mayor Joe Hogsnott and Republican challenger Jefferson Shreve. The real challenge will be differentiating the policy positions between the two, because in addition to looking like clones of each other, they have very similar policy proposals, and Jefferson Shreve has nobody to blame but himself and his disastrous campaign management. At one point, I was getting ready to feel bad about standing on principle and voting for a third party, in a protest vote against Jefferson Shreve. I was questioning whether or not I really wanted to guarantee Joe Hogsett an easy victory in his reelection to the mayor of Indianapolis, because obviously I think the direction of the city under his leadership is disastrous, and it was really causing me to be concerned and question my decision until, of course, in addition to the fact that Jefferson Shreve doesn't understand the Second Amendment, in addition to the fact that he doesn't understand the legislative authority of the office of the city's executive, he also doesn't understand the First Amendment when he came out against the pro-Hamas protesters, which, even though they are vocalizing support for a disgusting position, are still exercising their First Amendment rights. So when he says, oh, well, I wouldn't allow protesters to meet on public property, memorializing soldiers for the United States, you don't understand that the First Amendment is designed to protect speech that you don't agree with. So 3 strikes and you're out as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't understand the Second Amendment. He doesn't understand the legislative purview of the city's executive, and he doesn't understand the First Amendment. You're out of here, guy. So the debate isn't going to move the needle for me. I will be watching, however, just to get any delicious sound bites that we have. The first debate, I'm hoping, with moderated by Phil Sanchez, they will bring up the question where Joe Hogsnott was during the 2020 riots, because we still haven't obtained a satisfactory answer to that question, even despite private citizens like Robert Evans III seeking information through public disclosure, but being stymied by the mechanisms of the city, who are seeking to cover up wherever it was rumors, of course, circulating that Joe Hogsnott may have been during the riots. Hopefully that will get brought up, and maybe Jefferson Shreve will press the issue on the October 23rd debate. There will also be a follow-up debate, Fox 59 and CBS 4 broadcasting a televised debate the following Thursday, October 26th. At 7 p.m., they will have the second mayor's debate. And this comes just weeks before the election, after early voting has already began. So some voters may have already cast their vote before making up their mind and potentially being swayed during the debates. This was absolutely 100% intentional. I'm sure Hogsnott would not have agreed to a debate but prior to early voting already beginning. But that just means that it's leaving very little time for people to make up their minds about very important issues and the leadership of the city. Of course, there was also a surprise announcement this week. The Delphi murder suspect, Richard Allen, he's now without legal representation, which is just I don't even understand what's going on. It had looked like we were going to get a trial coming up in January of next year. That's now been pushed back because he's going to have to get public representation, and they're going to have to be caught up on all the ins and outs of the case. Of course, his previous team being accused of leaking evidence to members of the press and podcast. I believe it was Murder Sheet who had received these allegedly crime scene photos that may have come from the law office representing Richard Allen. Allegedly, these are still questions, and then now no longer representing him, having stepped aside. Of course, Judge Francis Gull announcing that the attorney Andrew Baldwin withdrawing his representation, and Bradley Rozzi also expected to give an oral withdrawal after obtaining more than $100,000, almost $120,000 in legal fees, and then leaving Richard Allen without representation. It's just very puzzling. And after having made that incredible claim just a couple weeks ago about the prosecutor not divulging evidence, about a scheme of white supremacist cultist Odin worshipers having participated in ritual sacrifice of Abby and Libby there in rural Indiana, crazy stuff. And then members of the jail staff having to take off their Odinism patches, according to the sheriff's department, to avoid appearance of impropriety. Like, what is going on in Delphi? And now I'm concerned, like, this guy, he might even wind up dead. He was already in poor health. He might just be end up dead in the jail cell before we ever get a resolution to this terrible tragedy in Delphi. And that, I think, would be a worst case scenario, because the family members deserve to have resolution one way or another. Whether this guy did it or whether, he can point the finger at who did, we need these questions answered in order for the community to have some peace. And I believe producer Gary was telling me that you were close to Delphi. You live not very far away at all from where these murders occurred. Isn't that right?
That is correct, Ethan. I lived in between Delphi and Flora, or otherwise known as the Twin Cities, and I know exactly where that event took place.
So this is a tight-knit community that would absolutely be devastated by murders like this. They're not happening every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you remember the show Green Acres,
yeah,
that's what Delphi is.
Green Acres is the place to be. Now, what about Odinism cultists? Were you aware of any Odinism growing up there in Delphi?
Well, this was so long ago, probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
Probably not the same practitioners today.
Probably not.
All right. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle, 93 at WIBC. One thing I also wanted to get into and bring producer Kev in on this conversation. A former Atlanta restaurant owner and popular social media reviewer, he stopped by the Circle City recently and left scathing reviews of several black-owned businesses. This is Darius Williams, who's known by his handle Darius Cooks. He's got about 1 million followers on Instagram, and he came to town, visited several establishments across the city, including Blank US, Luxury Lounge, Culture Bar and Bistro, Huge Impact, Hank's Barbecue, King Ribs Barbecue, Open Kitchen, and Mississippi Belle. He said the cooking stunk. He's like, the exact quote, "It's beyond crazy that people open restaurants and don't cook." Have you ever been to some of these places, Kevin? You're a man of culture. I suspect you have eaten around the city. Any of these places you frequent?
Well, I love barbecue, but I have not been to any of those.
You haven't been to Hank's Barbecue?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, my God.
Where is that?
Hank's Barbecue is up on 25th and Martin Luther King. It's kind of near Crown Hill Cemetery. That is some good down-home cooking. In fact, my favorite item on the menu of Hank's Barbecue is their corned beef. Like, by far, Hank's knows how to do corned beef right. Treat yourself and go up to Hank's sometime.
Do they have some good brisket?
Yeah. Of course, brisket is a specialty. I like barbecue, but barbecue is that guy's area of expertise. Hank's Barbecue is definitely worth a stop. I've also been to Mississippi Belle. They got some decent fried chicken. They got some decent catfish. They've got some decent options at Mississippi Belle. Some of these other places I haven't been to, but I'm inclined to think that this guy is just some kind of jerk off. He's also got an F rating with the Better Business Bureau because he's not giving his followers their delivery orders. Like, they're ordering merch from Darius Cooks and it's not arriving. So, this guy's coming to Indianapolis and
he's causing trouble.
Yeah, what a stinker.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
We got plenty of good options around here. Now, what wasn't mentioned on this list, but I also highly recommend, is His Place. His Place Eatery. It's on about 38th and Shadeland Avenue.
That sounds familiar.
Oh my God, it's so delicious. I don't think there's a bad thing on that menu. I have tried several of the different offerings and they're all fantastic. Hickory smoked herbs, fresh made fried chicken, catfish, good home cooking, down, southern offerings, comfort food.
I've never had catfish. Have you had it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to try that.
You need to get some good breaded catfish because when it's breaded and battered and buttered just right, that's when the catfish sings.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle. Don't pay any mind to Darius Cooks. We have good eateries here around the city, and I hope you take part in them. Thanks for listening to the show. Stay tuned for more coming up next.
We feel.
Feel it as soon as you step out the door.
What you feel.
Bundle up. Feels like winter.
Could be more like summertime.
All the feels.
It feels a little like winter.
Feels more like summer.
Of fall.
It's kind of the clash of two seasons.
Weather. When you need it.
The ebbs and flows this time of the year is so evident.
On your official fall weather station. 93 WIBC.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Don't you love fall in Indy, but you hate the paint? Do what your neighbor Mark did. He called Rhino Shield.
It's a two-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad, with Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating, better than paint.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
Here's a never-before offer, Indy. Act now before October 31st and get 25% off the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield.
It was done in 2001. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Remember, Indy, this is a limited-time offer, so act by Halloween to get 25% off the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield. Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, boss. What's got you so down today?
We just lost another customer to Diamonds Direct. Guy's been with us for years. Went over there and, well, now he's in love with those people. I don't know what they do.
Want me to go secret shop Diamonds Direct again, sir?
Remind me what we learned the last time you did that.
Well, they're really good, sir. They got like 10 times the selection we have. They have those top designers that we're not allowed to carry. They're telling people the inside secrets on how to buy diamonds. They give free service on stuff like cleaning and sizing, the things you charge extra for. And they're nice people. Everybody's smiling over there.
Okay, stop. I know it's impossible to compete with Diamonds Direct. I mean, even my accountant just upgraded his wife's engagement ring there and got her a 3-carat.
I thought your brother was your accountant.
He is.
Are you getting all you deserve from your jeweler? You might be surprised. Maybe it's time to get the value, the selection, the quality, the education, and the service you deserve at Diamonds Direct. Keystone at the Crossing, official jeweler of the Indianapolis Colts, and proud to call Indy home. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
This is Dwight Freeney, and I've teamed up with Indiana Donor Network and Donate Life Indiana to get the word out about how you can save lives in your community. Did you know that more than half of the people waiting for a life-saving organ transplant are people of color? That's why I said yes to being an organ donor, because I want to help end the wait. You can help too. Sign up to be an organ donor next time you're at the BMV and talk to your family about your decision.
Head to the contest page at WIBC.com and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra on December 26th at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Go to WIBC.com for more info.
In a white room with black curtains near the station. Black roof country, no gold pavement, tired starlings.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Wrapping things up on a Saturday evening. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Night on the Circle. Producer Gary, beep, 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 pushing the buttons and doing the things to make the show function. Wrapping up this evening, I hate to end the show on a bad, bittersweet note, but sad to say, starting next year, unless something changes, all the pandas in the United States are going to be gone. Millions of Americans have enjoyed the giant pandas on display at the Smithsonian National Zoo and in other zoos across the United States. Turns out all those pandas, they've been on loan from China since the 1970s. We've had an agreement which expires in December of next year. So all of the giant pandas in the United States set to return home to China next year, including the Smithsonian pandas Tian Tian, Mai Jing, and their cub Zhao Qi. I'm sad. I like pandas. They're cute. So the idea that they're all going away is a bit of a bummer. Also, some bad news. A new study suggests that eating just 2 servings of red meat over per week is linked to a higher risk of developing diabetes, affecting 37 million Americans. Research published last week in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found an increased intake of red meat, even more than just 1 serving every week, could contribute to a 62% increase of type 2 diabetes, which is unfortunate, but of course gives us a wonderful excuse to play this message from Wilford Brimley.
People do learn to live with it. In closing, I would like to say to you, diabetes. Forget your troubles. Come on, get happy. Diabetes. I've done things I shouldn't do. Diabetes. Do the best you can with what you got. Diabetes. I would encourage all of you. Diabetes. Forget your troubles. Come on, get happy. Diabetes. I've done things I shouldn't do. Diabetes. I've eaten ice cream and apple pie. Diabetes. And I would encourage all of you. Diabetes. Forget your troubles. Come on, get happy. Diabetes. I've done things I shouldn't do. Diabetes. Do the best you can with what you got. Diabetes. I would encourage all of you. Diabetes. Forget your troubles. Come on, get happy. Diabetes.
Look, I already understood that you had to cut back on the sweets to limit your risk for diabetes, but if I gotta cut back red meat, then just count me out. I'll take the type 2. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. So I leave you with my parting words of wisdom, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're with. Remember that life is a state of mind. And I'll see you next week on 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC.
Delphi murder suspect Richard Allen.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coating and their transformation, like your neighbor Mike.
Well, the local company that we used first was highly recommended by people in our neighborhood.